Hello YouTube and welcome back to Fire Gaming Project. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the new version 2.2 new limited series of weapons that are going to be releasing soon that MiHoYo officially announced on their Twitter earlier today. And also it's available in your notification section of your game. Okay, so I won't show that here because also I'm on PS5 and that opens a different window that doesn't show on the video stream or the video recording anyway. So the reason why I have the Akuoumaru on the screen, not because I have it, but this you can view this card basically from the current banner for Child's weapon, his polar star, and it's one of the weapons there, and you can just go to the details. The reason I have this up there is because the new Wavebreaker's fin, Polearm, and the Mouun's Mouun bow are from the same series as the Akuoumaru, and they have the exact same passive so that I don't need to reread it or, reiterate it. But it's on the screen at the very least. Everything's exactly the same. Okay, and all the information is on Twitter. But basically, yes, for the long story short, it will basically buff the burst of your character. Okay, based on the total energy capacity, basically the I guess the energy what is that, cooldown or requirements, let's say, of each character. Okay, so basically the characters that originally I thought it was basically based on the total energy recharge of all your characters, but it's not. It's based on if they are an 80 energy cost character for their ult, or like a 60 or a 70 or 40 or whatever, right? That's what it's based on actually. Okay, so I'm going to quickly exit this screen, but just so it's clear that it's all for elemental burst, and also based on your 4 party members and based on the actual their actual ults basically. So when I say that, I mean, like, for example, just using this as an example, where am I? So like if you go here and you go here, for example, his energy cost is 60. So that's what it would be. So when they say energy capacity, they mean the energy cost of the alt times 4. So for example, hers is, let me see, hers is 90. So there you go, right? So one thing about these I want to bring out that I didn't bring up in my Akuoumaru review videos previously for my pre-release and etc. Is that here, it's actually clear that it actually limits your actual characters, because then you would not want to put characters such as Aloy on your team, because in that case, hang on, because she only has an energy cost of 40, if that makes sense, right? Because it scales off of the energy capacity, the total energy capacity. So the elemental burst damage of the character equipping the weapon is increased by 0.12% at R1, so it's 0.24 if it's R5, and a maximum of 40% increase to elemental burst damage can be achieved this way. That's for R1, and it will be 80% if it's R5. Now, just so we're clear, with the Akuoumaru, we already know that it's a really, really strong Claymore weapon that is, I'm just going to go to Claymore weapons, and that is comparable, if not better, than most R1 5-star weapons, which there are currently 3 in the game for Claymores, right? And I did a review of it. Of course, I mentioned that, if you got the 5 stars, then you don't need to get it, which I agree, you don't need to, and I stand by that, because you're still playing with chance here to pull on the weapon banner, which is always a scam. Also, we did get in the end of 2.1, we got the luxurious Sealor to R5, right? So technically, this was comparable. Of course, that one could outclass this one in many cases, but this is also very versatile and a very good weapon too. Keep that in mind. Again, let's not forget about the Blackcliff weapons as well, okay? So I'm not going to go into the claymores because we already talked about that. We're going to focus on the pole arms and also for the bows. But before we get into that, please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me some comments and some questions, and also hit the like button as well. So we'll focus on pole arms because obviously the Wavebreaker fin is a polearm, and it's technically featured in Toma's demo as well recently that dropped last night, I think. So I'll talk about that in a separate video, but basically, okay. So Wavebreaker's fin, as we know, and also the Mouun's Mouun, they're all attack percentage substats. So right now, if you look at actually the available pole arms, aside from any of the other craftable ones that I did not craft yet, a majority of them are not, except for this lithic spear one, which is limited as well. Majority of them are not attack percentage substats, as you can see. So what this means is that the Wavebreaker's fin is going to be one of the only ones in the game that is attack percentage. I'm bringing this up right now, right now, because the Mouun's Mouun, the bow, is competing against a variety of other weapons, bow weapons that actually have attack percentage as a substat. So we'll go into that one after this. So let's just quickly go over the Wavebreaker's fin. Who do I think it's useful for? As you can see on the screen, I have all the characters in the game already up to this point, right? So technically, I have all the characters here. So you'll see the Wavebreaker's fin could be good for Raiden Shogun, for Xiao, and possibly for Hu Tao if you don't end up getting her Staff of Homa, right? It could be good for these characters if actually, no, let me rephrase. Let's talk about these two first, okay? Maybe let's include Shangling in there too, okay? So let's talk about Raiden Shogun, Xiao, and Shangling. These three characters have energy recharge issues, okay? So if you can somehow overcome that, either you have good artifacts or you have, a Sans piece that's energy recharge as a main stat, or you definitely went heavy on the Emblem of Severed Fate artifact set, so you get the extra there, and also maybe your substats of the other artifact pieces are really good for energy recharge, maybe close to 200%, let's say, then you probably could skip getting their actual energy recharge weapons, such as the Catch, or maybe in this case the Engulfing Lightning, etc., or even the Skyward Spine. You can skip those, because I did a comparison of those in another earlier video, so do check that out too. But then in that case, these three characters, Raiden Shogun, Xiao, and Shangling, could do well with the Wavebreaker's fin. Okay, now moving forward, so there are the other three characters here now. So then Hu Tao and Zhongli, I'm going to class them together because they scale off of HP for different reasons, but they scale off of HP. And for that reason alone, you would just need their artifacts to have HP on them, okay? We're not going to go into builds for them, but anyway. So technically, yes, the Wavebreaker's fin could do well on these characters as well, if you were not to get their actual, signature weapons, such as the Staff of Homa for Hu Tao, and also Staff of Homa is also technically as one of the best weapons for Zhongli too, or the Vortex Vanquisher, which is really old already and has not been rerun yet, right? So technically, yes, the Wavebreaker's fin is a very versatile weapon, appearing currently based on the pre-release and preview of it, it should do well on those characters as well. Lastly, it should do well on Rosaria, who's actually more of a physical damage DPS character, but it would do well on her as well, and it could also do well on the upcoming Toma. Now, I do want to focus on now talking about the burst aspect of it. So for Rosaria and Toma, basically a lot of their damage is going to come from, or a lot of their usage comes from their ult, their burst. So that's why the Wavebreaker's fin is actually very suited for them, okay? Similarly, again, like I said, Shangling, Xiao, and Raiden Shogun, their burst has a lot of damage, right? As we know. So as long as you can mitigate or overcome the energy recharge issue for these three characters through their other aspects of their, artifacts and such, then you should be fine to use the Wavebreaker's fin as well. Of course, assuming you don't have another one of these other weapons for them already, right? And then for Hu Tao and for Zhongli, to be honest, depending on how you use them, okay? I don't use Hu Tao for her ult, I use her for her E. And then, I charge attack with her mostly, okay? But if you're someone that uses her for her nuke, which she has a really awesome nuke ability, then yes, then the Wavebreaker fin will be really good there. And then for Zhongli, similarly, I do use his ult often because I have good energy recharge on him already. But basically, yeah, if you are someone that ult spams and nukes with these characters, then yes, the Wavebreaker's fin will definitely be good there. So one caveat with the Wavebreaker's fin is that it will not do well for the normal attack and the E then, because obviously the passive is focused on the burst. And that's the same with the Akuoumaru and the Mouun's Mouun, okay? Next, let's move on to the Mouun's Mouun. We're just using Aloy here as an example only, not because I prefer her. So Mouun's Mouun, unfortunately, will be competing against several weapons that do have attack percentage as the substat, okay? So as you can see, Amos Bow is an attack percentage substat weapon already, and Rust is also one, and those two are very popular and very powerful weapons, okay? And I'm just going through them, okay? So the rest of them are not, okay? So let's just go down the line again. So similarly then, Mouun's Mouun, just like the Wavebreaker's fin and the Akuoumaru, are going to boost the burst for the character, okay? So unless you're using Child and Yoimiya, I'm going to class them similarly. If you're using, and maybe even Ganyu too, if you're using these 3 5-star characters for their ults only, then yes, I can see the Mouun's Mouun being really powerful there, especially if you're nuking with them, that's fine, okay? But I will say Yoimiya is a normal attack character, so it's not going to be the best for her, to be very honest with you, because I even, like I mentioned before, when I used her, and I did in my previous videos too, I usually use the rust on her because I definitely love to spam her normal attack because that's all what she's all about, okay? For Ganyu, she's the charge attack girl. She's not really for her ult. Her ult is also very powerful, so I guess if you're using her for ult purpose, then sure, the Mouun's Mouun could work for her. Child is my boy, and I use him for his E. Just like he's similar to a Hu Tao. I use him for his E, more his melee stance, more than his ult. But definitely, if you are someone that likes to drop him in and do his ult more often and buff that up with energy recharge, etc., then definitely do Mouun's Mouun. Okay, assuming again that you don't have these other weapons already. Okay, Aloy is not a very strong character, and I don't recommend building her past level 666 for her talents, but it's up to you. If you like her, of course. She can be built up, of course. Not saying that she's horrible, she's just not that strong, okay? She's more similar to a 4-star character, but what do you really expect from a free 5-star character, just like our main character, Traveler, right? But regardless, I do like her using her, though. And yes, her ult is useful, so I could totally see the Mouun's Mouun being very useful on Aloy, to be very honest with you, yes. Her ult is very useful, more useful than her E, actually. So yes, definitely Venti is all about his one-trick pony, his aspect, which is his ult, obviously, right? But then keeping in mind, he is Anemo, and Anemo does do well with elemental mastery and swirling. And unfortunately, the stringless is better, in my opinion, than the Mouun's Mouun because it increases his elemental skill and elemental burst damage as well. So, and it's already like higher than the Mouun's Mouun, which is 40% elemental burst damage at R1, whereas an R5, this will be higher, right? So we're talking about an R5 stringless, of course. If you're doing an R1 stringless, it's only 24%, so maybe then in that case, the Mouun's Mouun will be better. Keep that in mind, okay? I've already talked about the Amos Bow in terms of attack percentage potential, but Amos Bow is for people that have charge attack potential, such as Ganyu and Kujosara. So the Mouun's Mouun, just like what I said for the Wavebreaker's Fin previously, will not do much for the normal and the charge attacks, etc. It's mostly, again, for buffing the burst. So it's not recommended for characters that focus on normal and charge attacks or charge attacks like them. So it's again, Yoimiya, Ganyu, and Kujosara, it's not suitable for them. Okay, moving along. Fischl, we mostly use her for her E only, but definitely her ult or her burst is similar to just basically giving another E. So I could see it being potentially there, that you could use the Mouun's Mouun for buffing her burst, and that's okay too. Okay, but Fischl is very versatile. She could be an elemental mastery build. She could be a physical damage build, of course, an electro build, right? So not saying that you have to build her with a Mouun's Mouun, but it could be some potential there. Okay, Diona, her only purpose, honestly, is to heal and to shield. Okay, those are her only main focuses. You're not really using her to like attack. You're not even using her to apply cryo. That's just like a little extra bonus, really, right? You know, so I don't know if it's to your advantage to give her the Mouun's Mouun, especially if you give her the Sacrificial Bow where she can proc her E skill twice, which is the shielding, like cat's paw thing. But it's up to you. I could see it if you totally want to use her to continue to do her ult and therefore have more damage and possibly more healing from her ult. I guess you could do it that way. Again, this is assuming that you don't have these other weapons available in your arsenal. Okay, Favonius Warbow is a good weapon. It's definitely a very universal weapon if you need energy recharge, okay? Definitely for charging of your energy. This is more of a, I guess you can call it a supporting weapon. So again, for any character, no one uses Amber, let's be real, except for Enviosity, right? You know, but like, or maybe Whales, I got her to C6 and, you know, buffed the hell out of her. But then, like, regardless, if you do use Amber, yes, her ult is basically the majority of her damage because her E is weak and it's very slow, like for the bunny to burst, you know, and then you wouldn't really use her for normal and charge attacks. You could, but anyway, Mouun's Mouun could be something for her, but I don't know if you would want to put it on her because you could put it on other characters, right? So moving forward, I don't know, there will be another character coming, Goro, right? But it's assumed that Goro is going to come with some new weapons in that patch as well. So I don't know if it's worth it to put Mouun's Mouun for him, but you could, of course, save it up for him, and that's fine. Again, I want to have a quick conclusion here, the Wavebreaker's Fin and Mouun's Mouun, just like the Akuoumaru, are going to be awesome weapons. But again, at low refines, they should be comparable to many weapons that are available already in the game. However, you run the risk of pulling on the weapon banner, which is a scam. And obviously, these weapons are limited, so they will only appear on the weapons banner. They're not going to appear on the standard banner. And we don't know when they're going to be rerun. But the unfortunate part is that there is some issue with the energy capacity aspect of the passive. You need to put it limits your teammates that you can have basically to be ones with high capacity versus low capacity for energy, right? So for that reason alone, it makes it limiting, just like the lithic weapons, which were for Liyue characters, remember? So just keep that in mind as well. And also it only buffs the burst. It does not buff the normal attack, charge attack, plunging attack if applicable, and the E skill, okay? So there's that too. And of course, just keep in mind, at this late stage of the game, there's a lot of weapons already available, and you probably already built them up already for your favorite characters or the characters that you're using already. So I don't know if it's worth it to pull on the weapon banner just for these weapons, and again, just for the hope of trying to get them too, because getting them at R1 is fun, but then you want them at R5, obviously, because that's where the real damage comes from, but pulling on it to get to R5 at a 4-star situation is not guaranteed, and again, you run the risk of just burning a lot of money. So I will just leave that there, and just end the video here, basically. I want to keep it short, but basically that's my preview, pre-release analysis or preview of these two weapons. Okay, so similar to the Akuoumaru, I don't recommend polling specifically for them, but if you're polling on the weapon banner anyway, for example, on the current weapon banner, if you're polling on it for either the Polar Star or the Memory of Dust or whatnot, of course, I'm not going to judge, but it's whichever you're deciding to, and you get the Akuoumaru, that's great. That's a great bonus, okay? But I would not recommend pulling on the weapon banner to try to get that 4-star weapon specifically. I can tell you right now, I've been casually pulling on this banner, not because I'm trying to get the Polar Star, but because, like, you know how we get, like, our Battle Pass and we get some intertwined fates, etc. along the way? I've just been spending them on that weapon banner because I'm not pulling on the child banner anymore. So, like, and I have gotten nothing. Okay, I thought, okay, it'd be great if I got like a casually, like if I was super lucky and I got like a Polar Star or I got like Akuoumaru, got nothing. So I'm just letting you know, like, it's not worth it to try to go for it, but if you want to try your luck, do go for it. And also, there's nothing announced yet for Hu Tao's weapon banner, but it's likely it'll be the Staff of Homa and some other 5-star, obviously. So if you were to pull on that for that Staff of Homa and you got either the Wavebreaker's Fin or the Mouun's Mouun, congratulations. They're still going to be good weapons to have in your arsenal and your inventory for any current or future characters. So I will just leave it at that, and I'll leave the decision up to you. That's just my preview of it, and I think that it's a skip for me. But I will definitely talk about it more when the weapons banner is officially announced, because we don't know yet and no leaks here. So please stay tuned for that in a few days. It's probably going to drop very soon in the next few days. So I'll definitely do an update there. So I will see you guys in the next one. In the next video, I will talk specifically about Thoma and the Wavebreaker's Fin. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. And this video went on a little bit too long already, so I'll stop it here. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next